Hello everyone and welcome back, and it is time once again for some more predictions here on the channel. It'll be for AEW's WrestleDream. As of right now, it is a 9-match card with also at least one match being on the pre-show. We won't necessarily go over that here at this moment in time. I imagine there will be a few other pre-show matches that do happen before the main card itself. But from what it looks like, it does look like there will be 9 matches on this particular card. And we're going to go ahead and get started right off the bat. And we're going to be doing a 2 out of 3 falls match with Hologram going up against the Beast Mortos. And this has been pretty much going on Collision the entire time. As a matter of fact, the Hologram being around, he's been pretty much on Collision for the most part. We've seen the Beast Mortos show up on Dynamite and Collision and Rampage and everything in that sense, but a lot of this program was being done down in Collision itself. This is going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. In terms of build, I can't really say I've seen much of it because I don't necessarily watch Collision on my own personal side, but I do expect it to probably be a pretty good match just based off of clips I've seen and everything like that, so I do expect it to be enjoyable. I'm going to go with Hologram to pick up the victory in this one. And up next, it'll be for the ROH World Championship. It'll be Mark Briscoe going up against Chris Jericho. And to be honest with you, this is going to be I think it's going to be a pretty good match. In terms of the build itself, it just really depends on how you feel about Chris Jericho at this point. I do feel to a certain degree like his feuds can start dragging on and on and on to a certain degree. I mean, you saw it with the Don Callis family for a long period of time. You saw it with Hook. Are they going to be doing this thing with Orange Cassidy for a very long period of time, or is this going to be kind of close to the end of it? Hard to really say. Also, they decided to start using Jay Briscoe's passing a little bit more within this feud as well. To go along with that, it's not been bad by any stretch of the imagination in terms of the build. It's, you know, they're trying to build the heat getting into it. So honestly, it's been all right in that sense of everything. Now, it really depends in terms of a winner of where they're going to go with the Ring of Honor championship. They could keep this on Mark Briscoe and have him get a big victory over somebody like a Chris Jericho. Or are they going to try to use Chris Jericho's star power towards, building another ROH pay-per-view or something like that, as they had done in the past as well? So really hard to say where they would go with it. In terms of a prediction, I'm actually going to go with Mark Briscoe on this one because I just feel like that will probably be the better option at this point in time. They don't necessarily need to have Chris Jericho do Ring of Honor stuff and then to go along with everything he does on Dynamite to go along with it. But that is a route that they could go as well. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I'm going to go with Mark Briscoe. And up next, it is going to be Darby Allin going up against Brody King. This was an open challenge match because Darby Allin did have a world title match, which was supposed to be at Grand Slam. Then it got changed to him and Mox being fighting over the #1 contendership for WrestleDream. Basically, he put a shot up on the line and lost. So now, after a few weeks away after that match, Darby Allin came back and issued an open challenge to anybody for WrestleDream, which got answered by Brody King. They did talk about the whole aspect of, he has not been, that Darby Allin hasn't been able to beat Brody King, everything in that sense. So it's been a nice little decent quick build for this particular match. It's a Darby Allin match. I think it's going to probably be a pretty good one, especially with Brody King in there as well. And I'm going to go with Darby Allin to pick up the victory on this. And up next is going to be for the TNT Championship. It is going to be Jack Perry going up against Shibata. I mean, it's going to be a Shibata match to begin with. I am a big fan of watching him, so I do expect this to be actually quite good. They have done at least a quick build. It does feel like in terms of builds themselves to the particular matches that we have had, they have been rather quick and like very short builds getting into these particular ones, with the exception of maybe a couple of matches here and there. Now, in terms of a victory on this one, and personally, I think they're not going to take that title off of Jack Perry quite yet. At least that's just where I feel like it just doesn't make sense for them to take it off of Jack Perry at this moment in time. As much as I would like to see Shibata pick up a victory here and get a championship in AEW that wasn't necessarily with Ring of Honor or anything to go along with that, I'm going to have to go with Jack Perry on this one. I did like the whole aspect that Shibata just walked up to him and was like, I want to challenge you to a match. Jack Perry's like, I think about it. And then literally walks away, and then 5 seconds later, blindsides him and attacks him and says I accept. And that's kind of how this got set up for that. So I'm going to go with Jack Perry here. I do think this will be a good match because, well, like I said, I'm a fan of Shibata, and usually his matches are quite good. And up next is going to be for the International Championship is going to be Will Ospreay going up against Ricochet, going up against Konosuke Takeshita. And this triple threat match was honestly kind of weirdly built initially, at least how they got to the triple threat. The thing that they did on Wednesday on Tuesday on Dynamite was actually quite good, setting up a whole dissension between the Don Callis family and Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita getting one over on Will Ospreay to go along with that, and Ricochet having to make the save. But that build to get there initially with the whole Ricochet versus Will Ospreay match, where it's like double pin, restart the match, and then Takeshita interrupts and causing a double disqualification, was a little bit awkward on this one. I did like what they did Tuesday for everything between Takeshita, Will Ospreay, Ricochet. I thought they did really well in getting that set up in terms of doing it in a quick manner to get this triple threat going. Honestly, in terms of a victory here, I think it's a Will Ospreay victory on this one. I don't think they're going to change that title here, though. I could easily see them putting it on Ricochet. I could easily see them putting it on Takeshita as well. I do feel like the fact that both of them kind of were one up over Will Ospreay on Tuesday leads me to believe that it'll be Will Ospreay picking up the victory and keeping the International Championship. And up next is going to be for the AEW Tag Team Championships. It's going to be the Young Bucks going up against Private Party. For one, it's nice to see different teams going after the tag team titles other than FTR and the Acclaimed. At this point, it's good to see Private Party actually getting some kind of feud going with the Young Bucks. I don't think this is going to be the only pay-per-view that you see this with, or at least the only match that you see this with as well. They are still playing off of the whole aspect that Private Party had beat the Young Bucks back on episode 2 of Dynamite, well over 5 years ago at this point. I think they've had at least one other tag team match where the Bucks actually got the victory as well. So I think they're 1-1. I'm not 100% certain on that, but they've definitely been playing up the whole aspect of back on the second Dynamite that ever aired, Private Party had won. And basically presenting them as more of a threat going forward. Now, in terms of a winner here, I wouldn't mind seeing Private Party pick up the victory on this one, but like I said, I don't think this is going to be the only match between the two teams. So I'm going to go with the Young Bucks on this. I do think maybe the Private Party is the team that takes those titles off of the Young Bucks. It's just not going to be at this particular pay-per-view. It may be somewhere else down the line. And up next is going to be for the AEW Women's Championship is going to be Mariah May going up against Willow Nightingale. And again, this has been kind of a quick build. So Willow was supposed to face Britt Baker, but she wasn't able to make Dynamite. So they ended up making a fatal 4-way with Nyla Rose, Saraya, and Jamie Hayter, which Willow Nightingale ended up picking up the victory in. And they actually started up another feud between potentially Jamie Hayter and Penelope Ford as well in that match. So so something down the line as well. Maybe you see that in 0 Hour. I don't necessarily know at this point. But in terms of this match itself, again, I don't feel like they've done too much with Mariah May since she's picked up that title. I mean, she's had matches here and there, but in terms of like a good feud, she really hasn't had anything since Toni Storm. Now, I don't know, this is a whole aspect that they're waiting for Toni Storm to come back or anything to go along with that. Hard to really say where they're going to be going with Mariah May down the line here. Now, with everything with that, and obviously Willow has just been coming off of her feud with Chris Statlander as well, which they're kind of setting them up as challengers to the respective titles. Statlander going after the TBS title, Willow going after the world title. Now, for a winner in this particular one, again, I feel like this has been set up quite quickly. So I don't think they're going to take that title off of Mariah May quite yet. So I'm going to go with Mariah May to pick up the victory on this. And up next is going to be Hangman Adam Page going up against Jay White. And this has been kind of an interesting setup here because Jay White's been out for quite some time. And this was actually all set up between the Lumberjack match with Hangman and Adam Page and Jeff Jarrett, where he ended out attacking Juice Robinson after the fact, which of course led to a match between the two of them, and then led into Jay White returning as well. Now, in terms of a victory here, I mean, you're just having Hangman and Adam Page come off of that all-out victory as well, and I don't think they're really going to like hurt him all that much. They're not going to try like I won't say injuring, but you know, they're not going to try to kill the momentum on Hangman and Adam Page that much by having him lose here. Though I know Jay White's great and everything in that one. He's just coming back off of injury. But I've got to go with Hangman and Adam Page on this because this has to be leading to something further down the line. Maybe it leads a little bit, him getting a little bit closer to the world title or anything to go along with that. But in terms of a winner here, I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page. And up next is going to be for the AEW World Championship, and it's more than likely going to be the main event of the night. It's going to be Bryan Danielson going up against Jon Moxley. And of course, this does play off the whole aspect that if Danielson does lose the title, he is going to end his full-time in-ring career. To go along with that. And of course, this all stems off of All Out, and with the attack that Moxley did on Bryan Danielson, tried to suffocate him with the bag, everything in that sense. And of course, we did have a very convoluted way to get to this particular match and how they set up why Darby was putting up his #1 contendership, and then why Danielson ended out wrestling on Grand Slam against Nigel McGuinness, and like it was a little bit convoluted to get to this point with everything. We are seeing a whole different side with Jon Moxley here, and it's going to be interesting to see where it ends out leading to. He's basically been cryptic in the terms of like he's doing this for a different reason and seemingly for a different person, which I feel like is going to be revealed in this particular match. A lot of people are assuming that it's going to be Shane McMahon. That is a good possibility on this. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case. It'll be interesting to see who that ends out being. Like I said, the rumor going around is that Shane McMahon. We'll see what that ends out happening. I do feel like that gets revealed here on this show. And I'm also seeing Jon Moxley wins the AEW World Championship as well to go along with that. It just feels like if you're going to try to get Moxley over as a heel and get the most heel heat out of him as well, having him in Danielson's career, at least the full-time career, I feel like is a good way of doing that. And it's just where I feel like they're going to be going with everything here as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Jon Moxley to pick up the victory on this one. And that is pretty much everything for AEW's WrestleDream. Now, like I said, it's going to be a 9-match card. More than likely, it's not 100% yet that I'm going to, but more than likely I may be doing a live reaction stream to it here on the channel itself. So be on the lookout for that, for a live reaction stream as well. And with that being said, yeah, if you ended up liking the video, feel free to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel as well. And with that being said, again, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.